everyone. I hope you can see and hear me. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm very glad to see you all in the event of today, which will be devoted to user experience and how to identify and analyze problems regarding it. So today we will be joined by Irina Ganevicha, who is a senior user experience researcher at the company Prezi, and she has more than 10 years of experience in digital product design, and as well she is a member of Riga Tech Girls. And I think I will gladly now invite her to the stage, and she will be able to tell more about herself and obviously give her presentation regarding user experience. So hello, Irina.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all on this call. And so I'm really happy and lucky today to share with you some of the interesting stories about where user experience was not done correctly and how it influenced the product destiny. And as well, not only to share the bad experience, but also give some advice how to be sure that experience would be set up properly, and share some methods and some good examples as well, how to use these methods to create a good experience.
Okay, great. So I think you can share your screen, and meanwhile, everyone feel welcome to ask your questions in the comment section. We will ask them to Irina after her presentation. And Irina, have a nice presentation. Good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, does my screen is visible to everyone? Hopefully so. As I said, my story would be about why and how you need to research and know your users. And to start my talk, I would like to introduce myself a bit as well. So as already mentioned, I'm basically coming from the product design field, and most of my career I was working as a designer, and in recent 4 years I'm mostly focusing on user experience research and how to design it, and basically consulting for now 4 cross-functional teams at Prezi on the topic how to provide the best user experience for the Prezi users. And why all this, what I will speak up today about, is for you, because any idea, any startup, any solution starts from specific user problem that we want to solve, and we need to be sure that our particular solution will help the audience. And all methodologies that I will mention today is useful not only for digital product design and digital product experience building, but also for any service or physical product as well. And let's start from the basics. Solution development itself includes in it different practices, which basically can be done by researcher, designer, or product team as such. So it usually starts with research. Then it starts with the ideation, which comes from the research insights, and then we go to the validation and see how our ideas is actually meeting up user expectations. Let's start with a big research block. And why do we do research, and why it's the beginning point of all the products? Basically, because we need to, first of all, understand our potential users or existing customers to see how we can help them and what's the real problem. Because research helps us to merge our idea and reality. Because sometimes we think like we know well our audience, but reality is completely different. And research helps to remove this gap and shape our idea to meet real situation and see how we actually can help people. So one of the first examples where I would talk a bit where we have this huge gap between idea and reality. One of the examples is a Facebook Home application. I don't know how many of you is aware of this interesting product which appeared some time ago. So basically, Facebook released pretty loudly this application in 2013. So basically, the idea around this application was to turn your phone into Facebook phone. So imagine everything, any activity you would start on your phone, it would start from some Facebook insight. So for example, on your lock screen, you would see some recent photo from your friend on the Facebook. Or to see all your other applications, you would need to go to specific tab where all your other applications are stored. But everything around your phone user interface would be shaped around the Facebook and Facebook functionalities. So from the Facebook product perspective, it seemed to be a perfect idea. So we looked like people are loving Facebook, they are engaged, they are always talking with their friends, chatting, they want not to use the apps, but talk with the people. Basically, this was the main hypothesis. So yeah, you see this fantastic messaging, which I copied in this slide about what Facebook were saying about this app specifically. And in the same situation, so yeah, basically messages will be popping up explicitly for the Facebook. Any activity would be on your home screen. And yeah, so again, home is a completely new experience that lets you see the world through people, not apps. So really ambitious. And what was the feedback of reality on this type of application? So basically, yeah, I tried it, and to be honest, it was just too much. One reviewer wrote, I would like it better if it would just a lock screen, but it gets annoying, and we can imagine why. And also, one of the another opinions that it's fine for the Facebook addict people. And for example, myself, if I'm looking on my Facebook feed, content there is not something I would like to see on my lock screen, actually. So yeah, we can see it's a nice example where the idea under the product based on some really engaged users doesn't meet the reality, what people actually want from the app. And yeah, this is the example where idea and reality is not met. So where to start? How to be sure that actually our ideas is solving a real user problems? For that, we can build up some of the research process around our, let's say, first thoughts on where can we go and what can we solve. So we can start from qualitative research. So basically start exploring and gathering information on our potential users, understanding their lives, their workflows, what's their environment, what they love, where they live, what they are caring about. And then we can try to form hypotheses. So on user behavior, let's imagine we creating an app for easier shopping, and let's say hypothesis here is like people like spending time looking through different types of items, and they doesn't seem to be willing for their order through mobile, but mostly like to do it on the desktop. So let's say it's a hypothesis. And then we need to validate it quantitatively. So we figured out some behavioral hypotheses, and then we tried to see how many people have the same behavior actually. And this is possible to do through data and to doing some massive surveys to validate our hypothesis. Another starting point for research might be actually quantitative research. And we can start with gathering user data insights. For example, we saw an article with some chart on user shopping habits. And we saw that, let's say, like 55% like to make an order from the desktop, not from the mobile. And then we need to like identify problem points. So why they don't do it from mobile more often? Because they like to browse online shops through mobile, but they don't buy. So we need to figure out why. And then we can dig in qualitatively and talk to people and ask their like why they behave in such a manner. And in this case, we can find some useful insights on top of which we can make some of interesting ideas and decisions. And of course, research process is not just that. It usually starts with a plan. So we need to understand what needs to be done, what we need to figure out before we start ideating and go through some brainstorming process, what questions we need to answer by approaching our users, and how will we get information to answer them? What would be methodology behind our research? And then, of course, comes research execution, and we will get information from the users, and we will end up with some outcome reports. So we will synthesize what we figured out, like basic facts about our users to take and ideate from that. And yeah, I want to also spend a bit more time on this research section because I think it's crucial actually for this new products, new ideas. That's why I want to share a bit more about methodologies and so. So yeah, basically methods to do the research usually divide into categories like qualitative and quantitative. We use qualitative methods to understand why users behave in a certain way and how do they do certain things. And for that, we use observation, interviews, daily studies, and generative sessions. Basically, you can Google about these methods, and about each of them, we can create a different, another talk for the 2 hours. So yeah, I will leave it to you, and you can search it after. And quantitative, to figure out how many. Basically, this is usually based on data. To do A/B tests, to basically compare to different versions, to do surveys, to also understand how many users doing some specific things, doing data analysis or gathering data from existing sources where research was done, and card sorting as well might be used as a quantitative method. Despite that, methods can also be divided in 3 big chunks. So what does people do? What do they say and think? And how do they feel? And for all these things, we also can categorize methods. For doing use, we mostly use observation to see how users actually do, for example, how do they do shopping at Rimi shop, let's say. If you will ask them, they will say, oh, I'm just picking up my red plastic basket. I'm picking up what I need. I'm paying for the groceries, and I'm going to my car and drive at home. But if you will observe them, you will notice a lot of other different really useful details. But people usually, when they talk about the process, they won't share these details. And saying and thinking is usually like interviews and questionnaires and think aloud things. And about how do they feel, what do they know, what do they dream about. It's mostly about performing and emotional ecologies and modeling. Ask person to create something, imagine something, and try to draw it, or basically try to push person to create something by themselves. And to go more into the way when we should use which method. So for do and use method groups, we usually use those methods when we know a little about the area or a problem we want to solve. For example, we never did everything for shopping and shopping process, and we need to basically understand what's happening there. For that case, we use do and use methodologies. Say and think methods, for example, interviews, the most simple example, we use where we actually understand the situation well and we understand how it should work. We just need to get a more deeper perspective from the person, like some more details on the process. And the last section about make, know, feel, and dream, it's about creating future scenarios, so really innovating. Nothing like this service existed before, and we know there is a problem, and we know that there is no existing solution for this. For that, we usually ask people to try to like imagine like ideal world scenarios and try to create or describe something. So yeah, I really like this division of the methods because it really helps to understand at which stage is your idea and your product and how it could actually help you and what methods to use. And this is also a nice source. So this link, designkit.org, there is a whole list of different methods, and it's nicely written step by step, and you can read it through, and yeah, lots of good information there. And to basically wrap up this research section, so if you can do only one activity to improve existing system or existing product, do a qualitative think aloud usability testing. So basically prepare scenario, what user need to do on this product, give it to the user and ask them to comment and think aloud while the user is going through the process. It would help you like to solve almost like and find almost 80% of all the problems that might be hidden there. For this specific case, it's the best method you can use. And also, I would like to give an example how to do all this big research if you have some idea around what problem to solve. For example, let's one specific problem was defined. For example, foster inclusion of aging adults in digital society. So how to help this aging generation and how to raise digital literacy among aging adults and how to make it easy and in an inspiring way. And for that, specific research goals was set. So how to inspire older adults to explore digital possibilities and in which way to communicate values of technologies and internet. For that, were selected like 5 participants in the age of 56 to 62. They had different experience level and different skill sets. And there was a session created for each of the participants. So it combined the 3 methods. So first, it was conversation started method, where was different pictures of different situations where the aging adult can actually see or use technology in their daily life. So it was laptop pictures, some courses when they learn how to use, I don't know, some internet or something, mobile app, Latvia.lv services, and so on. And this set of methods was used to understand how is it now for this audience? How do they now feel basically using all these things and seeing all these things happening around them. Second method was used as a card sorting. So basically, a set of pictures randomly selected, and they had to basically divide what technologies bring good to their life and what was actually bad and what they don't like the technology do or did for them for the entire life. And it would allow us as the researchers or the product creators to understand what are the contexts behind some of the biases, some of the preconceptions around the technologies, what they think is the benefits and what they think are the drawbacks. It mostly covers the past experience of participants. And after they went through present and through past experience, we are ready to go to the future and understand what would be experience they would love to have with technology, what they think could help them to be friends with those digital world. And for this was selected the method collage, where they basically put also they glued the pictures on some associations. What do they like to learn through technology, and why do they want to learn them, and how do they think they would start to learn it? And it would basically allow us to understand how it should be, how is their perception, and where do they would start their journey in the digital world, and what is the basically main value for them. And for that, after that, all the data, all the notes and the collages, everything was gathered and synthesized to understand what are the main trends, what are the main insights and main facts was gathered from the participants. And from that, design principles were evolved, which actually allows to move forward with the idea and the solution for the space. So basically, the best teaching method is through digital communities and video tutorials, as we figured out for this population. Inspiration can be found through example popularization and online communities. It seemed that for those people, it's really inspiring to see like the same age person is able to do more complicated things with technologies. Tablet and Android operational system can be optimal choice for the novice user because mouse and how you handle the mouse movements is hard for these people, and the tablets is more natural. And we need to focus also on the stakeholder technology values. So information source, communication, entertainment, this is the main value for this audience. Yeah, after we done with the research, after we collected all, did this reality check, understood what is the real situation around the user, we met the user, we talked to them, we observed them, we collected different facts. The next logical step would be to come up with ideas, because through the research, some problem spaces emerged, and we see where actually user struggles, and we see that this is the real problem and this is actually not. So let's solve something more interesting, more that might be more helpful for the user. And for the ideation, we also need to be careful, because sometimes the ideas actually might be created or formed in a way that users are not actually understanding them, are not ready to use this solution. And for that, I found an interesting example where I don't know, again, Google Wave was the thing some time ago. Interesting service of Google, which doesn't exist now. It just was available for the people for 1 year from 2009 to 2010. And if you read the description of what Google Wave does, you can think of one application which is widely used now at 2021 and in previous recent years. So multiple people can simultaneously edit and chat inside Waves. You can also add images, web links, video clips, and extensions incorporate all kinds of interactive content, live typing. You can see your collaborators' input in real time. So does it remind you something? Definitely, for me, it sounds like Slack. So it was a surprise for me when I saw this case that actually Google Wave failed to solve the same problem Slack solves perfectly for us now. And what is the Google Wave? So if you can take a look on this screenshot, so it has something similar with the Slack even. So it has this chats, channels, threads even, and all different kinds. So you don't need an email. You can chat through threads, and you can see the live typing, and you can see who is online, and you can see your contacts. So everything is there. But where does Google Wave failed actually? Why people was not so excited, and why it doesn't went viral as Slack does? So the main issues around Google Wave was shaping that circulating around that it actually was too much that people want. So it was trying to solve too many problems around. It was not focusing on one specific problem or idea. And basically, yeah, users were confused about like different functions, because you can even have a thread on single word of other person. So imagine having a thread on the word. Might be a cool idea, but again, it's overcomplicated things. And this terms as valvet and blips, so not like messages or threads or channels. So it has this valvets or blips. Again, it's not familiar to the people as a term and to techie. And yeah, it seemed like scientists and researchers can use it, business people. It doesn't seem to be a tool for everyone because it had too many features, games, and everything was built in. So yeah, and some of the people said like Google Wave appeared too early for the generation, and it had to be redesigned and appeared at our time, and maybe it would be more useful. But Slack now takes this place. So yeah, lesson from the Google Wave is to start simple, do not overcomplicate, solve the most critical issue for the user, and leave everything aside until you see the real impact of your solution. And from the beginning, you can collect as many ideas as you can, but move forward with the most valuable one. And yeah, so what are the actions around how to proceed with ideation, how to proceed with creating valuable ideas after research is done? First of all, you can do a workshop with your team. So after you did the research and downloaded your findings around the users, gather together, analyze all artifacts, images, photos from the sites where you observe the users, or recordings of remote interviews, and find opportunities for the product. Brainstorm on the ideas. It's as simple as that. And the main rule of the brainstorm is quantity, not the quality. So start with as many ideas as you can. First one would be the most obvious. So try to iterate and move forward with those. So yeah, what you can share: audio, video, photos, interview transcripts, quotes, social network profiles, personal backgrounds of the users, and try to synthesize this information. It will all help to fuel up the ideas. To analyze the ideas, there are also different methods. Analyze the findings and research data. We can use Affinity Diagram, how might be questions, and user journey maps. I will take a bit about those in a moment. So Affinity Diagramming is as simple as just group a trend similar facts or similar trends under some clusters and see what trends emerges. You can use Miro for digital ways how to do that. How might we questions? They usually simulate the thinking around the ideas. So, for example, how might we make Zoom calls less exhausting? So after you figured out the trends that are coming from the user research, you can think about how might we questions based on these trends and shape them. And this will already generate some of the ideas. So how can we make those Zoom calls less exhausting? What are the thinking around that? And user journey map. Of course, another nice exercise is try to basically arrange all the user process around how the user goes through a certain experience. What are the opportunities on different stages of this experience? What are the emotional falls or ups in this process? So do it with the team after the research finding accumulation. It can be useful as well. So yeah, let's take a look on the example how to do analysis. So we did it in the Infogram as well. So we investigated how Infogram teams is using Infogram, and basically what are the main workflows and collaboration around the teams when they use our product and tool. We interviewed 9 teams, and basically all the facts that we gathered, we collected in the Miro board. What we did next, we did a workshop. Basically, all team tried to jump on this post-it and group them to see what are the main things we figured out, what are the main trends, where are the users repeating themselves, and try to collect those under specific clusters. So this is about the brand, this is about the product value, this is about the team structure, and the clusters were specified there. And we were finding as a common thread. So what are the users willing to see in our product regarding the team collaboration and the topic? And then we tried to see the user journey. Okay, the users who is collaborating in the team, creating a project, onboarding on the team. So what are the main stages and what are the ideas and solutions for all of these stages might be and where we can improve this experience. And yeah, basically on that, each team during the workshop were able to ideate, create ideas, and even then we were able to group those ideas in the clusters and see what are the main focus would be for us as a product. And the next logic stage after the idea is formed and we see this is the number one idea we want to go with, and this would solve all the problems our potential user might have. The next step is validation, how to be sure that this is the number one idea and it actually helps. So for that, yeah, the statement would be good ideas don't matter. Executing and testing is what matters, because this would help our idea to become real, and this is how we can actually go to the user and test it. Proper testing saves you money and the energy of your team, because nothing can be worse than your team working half a year or certain months to develop the ideas, and in the end you see it fails. So it's better to test it early on and take up all the concerns and all the issues that might be there and work on the improvements, then figured out it in the end, because yeah, energy of your team is also really important. So yeah, a failed example, this time from my practice as well. I wouldn't say which product it was. Let's say product X, because of sake of the some data security and stuff. Basically, let's say product X concept tests. So proper testing and doing a validation and testing right is also really important. Why is so? So one of my team wanted to test out the concepts. Basically, there was some ideas around what could be really, really helpful for our users. And 3 interesting features and feature mockups were created and made in a presentation. So the brand kit, locking the content feature, and shared library of the assets. And how the testing was done, basically it was the remote interview. And when the person came to the interview, my colleague tested this concept in this way. So the question was like that: we are working on a feature that may be beneficial from you. This is something that would make our product X easier or more valuable for you. Can you take a look on those concepts? Or we have heard from customers, they are very interested in always putting their brand into product X. What we found, people like our templates, but they have to brand them. Is this something that's important for you? And another example, a couple of clicks to brand a template. Is it time saving, or is valuable, or is valuable brand consistency? So imagine a participant in this situation. What would be the answer of the person? Yes, of course, everything you say is super valuable for me. And in this situation, so when questions are asked in this way, in the way like you would try to sell your concept to the participant will say, yes, of course, I don't want to spend time on setting brand. I don't want to I want to be sure my team uses a template. I want to have like, yes, this is how you shouldn't do the validation. Because in this case, you won't get any valuable feedback, and basically, you couldn't validate with this type of questions and interview. How should you do it? So basically, start with understanding existing processes and experience. Do not show the concepts at all. Start with just figuring out how the users currently deals with all these problems you want to solve with your concepts. Then try to simulate the real situation. Imagine you setting up a brand for your team. Where would you start? Try to understand what are the current thinking around those specific features. How do they what are the how do they hack the system and try to get the same result without those features? And then in the end, you can just show those concepts and then ask of opinion without trying to really sell and promote. Just to do like a simple presentation, or even just show and say what they see and what they think it is, and share their opinion and what they think. So this is the right way, and we actually did the right way afterwards. This first fails, and we did the proper interview script and tested those concept for the product X. So yeah, wrong test can give wrong outcomes. So we should do really objective test, not subjective. Testing wrong will give wrong answers. How to plan the testing? So define what idea is most promising. What goal do you want to reach by test? So what do you want to figure out actually? Hypothesis, testing method, test metrics. So what would signalize you that idea is bad? And what would signalize that idea is good? What specific metrics are you searching for? Testing scenario, perform pilot test. It's really important to do the test run with some of your colleagues or friends just to see how it all goes. And evaluate idea and define list of improvements. So there are a bunch of different test methods, which is based on what are the goal of the test. I won't go through this, so you can also search them through. What can you actually test? You can test the emotions of the user. You can test how smooth is the flow through the product. How is easy to use your product? What are the associations or context or cultural background of participant, how it merges with your product? What are the logic of action or sequence of actions, and how to find issues actually in your product as well? And there is a bunch of tools that you can use. So basically, Usability Hub is really nice for the quick, small tests. For example, which icon is more good for a specific case. InVision app or the Figma prototypes, Hotjar, Typeform surveys, or pen and paper. But in real situation, I guess pen and paper is not a case. So yeah, and my last example about basically application for museums, how the concepts were tested. Basically, what was the problem? Museums are not interesting and attractive to a younger audience. So it was researched, and there was some data from which this hypothesis was formed, and there was a lack of interest on static objects on museum exhibition. So children like everything interactive, but when it goes for the static ones, no interest. So how to help those museums? And the idea around that was the mobile application that would help to turn any static exhibition into interactive one by turning it into the bingo game. So the application, which can be downloaded on the phone, and the kid can go through museum and search for specific objects and just do the bingo thing through the phone. So idea came up and figured out like it might be valid idea, and we decided to test it. So yeah, okay, how we can check will it work? So first, we needed to tackle the concept, the bingo concept. One method to test it out the concept without investing much time on building up and forming the idea is the storyboard. So you try as a comics just to draw each step, how your idea comes to life and how it would work in reality. And show this comics to potential users of the app and describe and see where could be the issues. So what is not clear, what is not working, where is too complicated, and does it looks exciting? So this was the first test. Another is the acting test. Try to simulate app application in real setup. So give so what we did, we print out specific objects in a room in the real setup, and try to ask the person to do the test with this object set, and see how long is the interest holds, how easy it is to find those objects, and how much fun it's actually is there to do so. And after that, we saw that something is there and it seems still to be a valid idea. We decided to do like this paper prototype, which is more close to the app idea. Basically try to draw the screens of the real user flow, how it goes from the start to the main interaction idea, and ask to perform specific actions there. And this also allows to see which screen is clear, what are the placement of elements, is it intuitive, and so on. And the next step, fidelity and details of the app start to emerge, and we do the screen flow and see is everything on place, and try to go through the flow and actions and the sequence. And basically it resulted in the hi-fi prototype when we are already sure that details, interactions, actions, and flow is really smooth and user can understand what's happening there. Then it's time to fully invest in detailed design and basically a next round of usability tests can be continued. So yeah, conclusions in this situation. what would be my main points for the people who start to think about the product and ideas around those and trying to help users and solve some of the things for the users? So research and validation is the core thing, what would help to be sure that your idea actually would work and help some users. Of course, market fit and business side of it is also really important. But here I'm mostly talking about like the user, the end user problems and end user needs and opportunities. So research and validations are really close to each other. And if you want to be sure that your idea is not separated from reality or seeing the right reality and not based on the gut feeling or your personal perspective, because you would be surprised how we differently look at the world and how we differently perceive things. So yeah, do research, do validation of the ideas, and this would help you to go on the right path and lower the ability to make crucial mistakes. Yeah, this is final slide. Thanks everyone for listening.
So thank you very much, Irina. I enjoyed your presentation a lot, and I hope the viewers did as well. And as promised, now it's time for questions. So I will be the one asking the questions to you. And so the first question, as you said, there are a lot of steps that a company, a business has to take in order to kind of bring out this user experience research and in order to create a good quality product. And as you have many years of experience in this field, have you noticed if there is a specific step that not all, but most businesses tend to find the most challenging? Like, which is the most challenging and perhaps complicated step that a lot of companies seem to fail at? And if there is one that you have noticed, then perhaps you can give some tricks how to overcome that.
So I would say the most challenging place for business and the products might be trying to predict what would be in the trend of upcoming years. And in this place, we might like observe where market is going, what are the current like movements, and what are the startups which raise millions and billions, and this might be the potential direction or something. And this is yeah, in this case, products usually base their decisions on some of this gut feeling and some of this like what do we already see from the market. Because to do a proper research, it might help. It might help just to understand as well, like what are on the people's mind in the current situation. It might help to validate other product directions and solutions, but it won't answer your big bets of your product if you want to be like the number one in the future because you predicted something perfectly, because it's a blind shot. It's difficult to say. So the most challenging thing is to build for future, for long future. So 3-year strategy. It's the most challenging thing to actually basically be right in the end of the 3 years. So yeah, but it doesn't exclude research. Do research and you will be able to predict more precisely, I would say, like that.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think that the next question that we had in mind can kind of overlap because you said that it's very difficult to predict the future. And I think the last year especially has proven that to us, that you don't even know what to expect from next week, let alone next year. And another question that we had was regarding the pandemic, of course. And do you think that the pandemic and the situation of remote work and many businesses transferring the formats that they work in and the products and services that they offer, has it I don't know, shed a new light upon the field of user experience? Has it kind of brought attention to aspects that were not there before? And perhaps how has the situation in this field changed during the last year?
Yeah, it actually, it somehow reset all the knowledge we know about the users. So everything changed. Our users all I don't know, I don't say about the all businesses, but our Prezi users are now working from home, and as we as well. And all we knew about presenting in large audience, using Prezi presentation, going to the conferences, all this knowledge swept away, and we need to gain new knowledge. So basically, this is the new wave of when you need to go to the field and gather a new perspective of what's happening in the people's life and try to understand, because it's the new situation, it's the new way how people work, how they do businesses, how we try to survive, how try to be engaged with their workers, their teams. And so in this case, we noticed that there is a lot of changes and a lot of new issues, new problems that people face, and it boosted research basically to start again to collect the knowledge. And I believe all researchers all around the world in this pandemic situation right now need to do another attempt to go to the users and collect this information.
Okay, thank you. So we have another question, which I have now managed to put on the screen. I hope you can see it. So I know my customer persona, but the most difficult is to where can I find them and what are the right questions to ask? And also, can social media be helpful for that?
Yeah, so if you know your customer persona, you most likely can know what are these people are. So, and where and through which channels you might approach them. So if you are sure that this is your customer persona, most likely you know the profile, yeah. And how we usually recruit people, it's LinkedIn as well. And we have like a professional recruiter at the company. But in this case, you can go through social media and try to find the right fit. But yeah, you basically, I wouldn't say it's an easy task to get the 10 people to talk with. But we should try, because talking at least to 2 of them, it's better than to no one. So try LinkedIn, try social media, try searching through friends. And if you know who would be your customer, try to find through competitor users. Let's say you know that there is a competitor product or something similar that you want to build, and they are using it. Those people, talk to them. They might be a good fit. And yeah, social media, definitely. I also use social media for recruiting.
Okay, thanks. Now we have other questions. It's very long, so perhaps I will. I hope I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm promoting a service for Latvian entrepreneurs, targeting those who are actually taking action. Do you have some advice on what would be the best approach to understand the needs for entrepreneurs in general if I don't have any contacts? So yeah, perhaps let's go one by one, and I will try to get to the end of it. Yeah.
So here is super important to go to these entrepreneurs, because if you are creating a service for them, you should talk to them, and you need to find them at any chance, if you are building for them, try to see within the community what are the places where they usually, gather knowledge, asking questions. What are the services they use? Again, social networks. You need to find them. and understand their needs, basically talk to them. What are the difficulties they face in their process? What are the main time wasters? Where they enjoy the process? Where do they fail most of the times? What are the struggles? So you need to talk to them, it's the must.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be like if we ask about the method, definitely I would go with interview. Just try to interview them virtually.
So here you can see the second question. I guess that was connected to the first one as well. So where to find the best places to look. The goal is to resolve a problem as a bait to sell the service in a webinar. So while you answer this, I will just go to Facebook and read out the last question because it doesn't show up here.
So best places. Where does entrepreneurs grouping and where does they usually asking questions? I don't know. It can be Labs of Latvia webpage. You can ask for some insights of successful entrepreneurs, successful startuppers here in Latvian scene, and ask what were their experience. I believe they will be happy to share because everyone has unique story. And yeah, I would start maybe from Labs of Latvia, and I believe they might have even friends who are still in the journey of setting up the product, or it can be hackathon events. You can approach those. So lots of ways. If you can imagine what are the routine of entrepreneurs and where do they do their activities. So this is the right places to find those.
Okay, so the last, sorry, you were saying something.
No, I'm just checking up. Did I answer all the points?
Yeah, the third question for some reason doesn't show up in full, so I will just read it out. So how to know if my customer persona is still actual and not outdated, if a business has gotten stale in the last months because the CEO did not push for results.
So if you check up with the users, do recent interviews, and you see that you hear something which is not in your persona template and is not actually matching well with how your persona is defined, that it's time to update your persona template, because persona should not be based on assumptions. Persona is always created on real user insights. So you do interview round, you do the surveys, you do the research, and then you are able to create persona. So it's the common mistake that we try to imagine what might be our potential customer without actually talking to our potential prospects or customers. So if you see that the real insights from the users doesn't match existing persona template, and you see like the thing that you hear pretty controversial, then it's time to update that. So yeah, this is try to prove it with interviews if you feel that it's outdated.
Okay, and the last question that we have is, big moves in user experience typically requires creation, redesign, also in the IT architecture, new ERP modules. What processes do you use to overcome the complexity with that? And there's a comment, think about old legacy systems.
Oh yeah. If you ask me about Prezi and yeah, big products have a lot of legacy stuff. And here, of course, you cannot just base your decisions on user needs in some way. You need to have a conversation among product managers, architects, developers, and you need to understand the whole picture. What are the low-hanging fruits around that? Is it worth it to rebuild all the architecture and complexity around some of the systems. So big moves, yes, it requires redesign and recreation, some of the main experience flows, and it requires some of the major sacrifices for the sake of better future. Let's say we know that we have chaos underneath what user sees and underneath what our system works, but yeah, earlier or later, if we slowly move to improvement of our experience, we would need to start rebuilding and we need to start adopting. So process is the conversation and a lot of decision making around basically what are we okay to do now, because if you are in the quickly moving market, you need to do quick decisions and you don't have time to properly rebuild some of the things, and to validate quickly and to see reaction of your customers and users, you need also to do quick updates of user experience as well. And sometimes, yeah, complexity that still grows beneath what user sees is on the last place. And yeah, I don't say it's a good thing. In ideal world, it should all go in parallel. So yeah, what the process? I don't know how to specify the process. It's always a compromises around. So in which case we go for the user need and go for time investment and rebuilding some at least small part. And in other case, we just say, oh no, it's too hard and we won't do it because, okay, some users would be happy, but it's not like the real need or the real pain. So yeah, depending on the specific experience part, is it the crucial one or is it something we can postpone?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Irina. I think that is it from the comments and questions. I don't see anything else, but I think we had a very interesting and very valuable presentation and Q&A session. So on behalf of this event, thank you very much for joining us today. And we hope to see you and all of you viewers in our upcoming projects, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other again. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for inviting, and hopefully always useful. I tried to be quick, but still clear. But if you have some left questions, but you think you would be willing to ask, so feel free to reach out to me in Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer other questions that you might have. So yeah, I'm not ignoring people who is coming to me with questions. So feel free.
Yeah, thank you. That's very helpful and very nice. So yeah, thank you very much, and then have a very pleasant evening and the rest of the week. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us today. Yeah.
Yeah.